Mauga, the giant Samoan Talon tank. Friends with Baptiste, big, heavily armed guy, quote-unquote, coated in heavy armor and combat stims and just heavy gunner, period. He was thought to be the tank to come to Overwatch 2 Season 2, but that turned out to be the tempo tank for Ramatra. This video is going to focus on, like, what concepts not Ramatra, sorry. This is like take number 4. This would be a concept of Mauga's kit of what could be, because, you know, he's not going to be in the game at least until December of 2023, because the next two heroes are going to be support. But this is going to be like my last video, where it's just a lot of concepts and what the good old Noodle has thought up. So I got about 3 of them here. The first one is going to be more of a explosive type class. So running off the 2 main images we have of Mauga, he's a really big dude and covered in armor, but besides that, you know, you see him in just a nice little Hawaiian shirt. Not little, he's a big guy. But in the weapon art, you see him fighting alongside Baptiste, just these 2 giant rods he's holding up, just one on each arm. I can't tell, you can't tell, nobody can tell, but I'm going to go a different approach of what a lot of people have gone with, in that these are going to be more explosive type weapons that are more knockback boop based than damage. Because yeah, you have like your Democrats and your Pharos, but this is going to be an on the ground, maybe mobile, maybe not. But the boop won't be that strong. It'll be a little bit of like a knockback effect, kind of like Zarya's secondary fire. Maybe thinking a character with a primary that can boop would be really strong, but I'm going to balance this on what I was thinking, that how this would balance would be the weaker his shield is, the more knockback he's going to do, and as I mentioned, it'd be about a little bit more than like a Zarya primary fire, you know? Like at least the stuff she does to herself, and a little bit you know, she's a tank, she takes less knockback, so it'd be a bit that much knockback, and his shield would be kind of like a Orissa's old barrier, per se. Orissa's old barrier, you know, having that spherical shape. But that barrier, he'd have to hold still for it and, you know, place his weapons down and keep his arms up, you know, like pushing up a shield. Think of like Doctor Strange, you know, how, you know, gotta keep up the hands and get the shield, but he can't move. So I think old Bastion in that kind of movement type thing, it'd be like a bigger shield than Orissa's old shield, but you know, the weaker the shield is, the stronger the knockback is. So it's kind of a give and take. And then for the ultimate idea, I think of like an artillery strike, kind of like Bastion, but there's only 2 of them because he's got 2 weapons. A little less damage than Bastion's artillery, but a good decent amount of knockback, more than the primary. It'll do a lot of booping, a lot of displacement, which is like a conversation to have regarding like CCs and stuns in Overwatch, which for a first-person shooter, you could say it's unhealthy, you could say it's healthy. I think it's healthy for at least tanks to have crowd control, because they're out there to make the space. They're out there to take and earn the space and to displace people. You know, Wrecking Ball, Doomfist, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's a bit of nuance to think about in regards to like stun, CCs, crowd control. So just a little bit of food for thought. Now, the next concept is more mobile than the last slug type character we have. I asked a friend, if you put in Mauga tomorrow, like, what would be some basic type stuff? And it would be 2 basic machine guns on each side, you know, kind of like how Wrecking Ball shoots, you know, stuff like that. More damage, of course, but the damage fall would be about 10 to 15 meters. Well, he'd be more of a tanking hero, per se. Like Reinhardt Sigma. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to articulate my point. I think you should definitely go for the Doomfist Ramatra body block type thing. I'm a real sucker for those. I think instead of, you know, who needs a measly shield when you tank it in the face and don't flinch? I'm more on that. Reduces damage from the front, big cooldown, 13-15 seconds type thing, but enough damage that taken into the front adds X amount of damage equals 1 charge and max 3 charge. And these charges could do one of 2 things, and I'm kind of indifferent about which one it should do. Like a small Reinhardt charge forward, that's a big displacer tool, depending on what angle you hit somebody, that'll boop them in that direction. Or like a Farah jump, like how her old jump jet was, where it like launched her a little bit forward into the air. To kind of bridge the gap, like how him and Bap's relationship are, like how he would, how Bap has that super jump, but Mauga's a big heavy guy. You're not gonna see that a lot. The use of the charge would be have a 5-second cooldown each, I think, so you could do some management with it. So 5-second cooldown each charge, so on and so forth. And to what the devs said about him having a strong exoskeleton and combat stimulants, I think what the ultimate should do is pump a bunch of combat stimulants into him and goes into like a rage sort of thing. Disregard the machine guns, just throwing hands, a definitely Dragon Blade type of ultimate. Not as knockback based as like Primal Winston, but more of like barrage type stuff maybe. Thinking make him a little bit bigger, be about 8 seconds, maybe movement speed, maybe not. I don't know. That's something I haven't really thought about a lot because it'd just be such a diverse kit. Now that one was quite a bit more memorable. Let's give it that. But I think that was my favorite concept to conjure up. Now the next one is very like TF2 heavy weapons guy inspired. I think a heavy gunner tank would be quite fitting in this game because we don't really have it. The closest thing by technicality is Arisa, and I guess if you want to be technical, Wrecking Ball, but that's only because that's his primary fire. But when you think of tank, you think of big, bulking guy with a big gun that could fuck you up. And so that's what I kind of went for on this one, where just one big machine gun, and it has the main feature is revving it up and de-revving. Now, like, leaning the gun down, revving it up, so it will have like a slow fire rate at the start, and so when it gets up to speed, it will, fire a lot and do a lot of damage. And I think the primary fire would be revving it up and firing, so do. And then the secondary would be pre-revving the gun. But so you can get some sneaky picks on some people, and then when people come around the corner and they're not expecting you, boom, right there. Snap, instant done. But the problem with it is that it would be incredibly loud. And now for a more utility-based thing, because there is utility in tanks, but not as much utility for the team, per se. Like, Reinhardt's a big candidate for being a very utility-based hero. But I want to go... We don't have many buffing field abilities. We have Kitsune Rush, we have 76's Biotic Field, and then we have Immortality Field. I think you should throw down an ammo box, something like that regard, and give like payload amount of healing to everybody in the field, and then increased reload speed. And now why I say reload speed is because that gun is going to have a lot of ammo in it. But also, that's going to be like a 3 to 4 second reload time on that gun. And what I forgot to mention is this gun, it will do a lot of damage up front. But the farther away, the less damage it's going to be, and the more bullet spread it's going to be. So, once you get away from it, you're going to be pretty much safe, but, don't stand up face to face with him. And for his ultimate, I would do something called Rev It Up, quote unquote. The rev up time would be greatly decreased, and the bullets would be fired normally, maybe get a movement speed increase. Bullets would be fired normally, but every like 10 to 30 bullets, a small grenade type weapon would be shoot out the front of the gun. So to give a, not like Bastion Sticky Nade or Cassidy Magnade, but a small grenade type weapon, so you can do some explosives, some disruption. It's different from like the normal primary fire. I don't want another Ramatra Nemesis form, just with like 30 extra damage on it, But that's about all I can think up for Mauga, just with the little information we have for him, and we have very few information on him and very little visuals on what could be. Like now with Ramatra, the concepts have been out for a while, where it's always kept the same theme of a wizard sorcerer looking thing that could get big and throw hands if needs to. But But that's what I like about doing these types of videos, is that it's all up to the imagination. It's all of like, it's all can be creative. It's all up to your imagination, and the possibilities are quite endless with it, to be honest. And it could fit. It's Overwatch. You have a raging monkey. You have a man with a giant gauntlet jumping around. You have a guy with Spotify healing. You have a girl that can freeze people and freeze herself and then just be fine afterwards. You have a crazy schizo Australian, a big crazy schizo Australian, the queen of the crazy schizo Australians. You know, there's a lot of options for what you can have in this game, and that's what I love so much about, you know, brainstorming all this stuff. Lastly, if you want to see me see me live, I stream on Twitch most every day, late nights. Flux Blastoise09, that's where you can find me. Give me some video ideas in the comments of what you'd like to see in the future, and if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. But for now, thank you. Have a good rest of your day. See ya!